Yo, we're gonna be overreacting to tonight's 16-14 loss. Central Michigan with an upset over San Jose State on their home turf. It was, they had every chance to win that game. There was, what, I have notes here. I'm gonna go off of that. We're gonna keep it structured, but there is no reason San Jose State should have lost tonight's game. No, there was not. Okay. Yeah, we can just start at the final drive of the game that Central Michigan had. It's the luckiest possible sequence of events that could happen. There probably should only be 18 seconds left when San Jose State gets the ball back, but a helmet flies off miraculously, and somehow there's like 55 seconds left for them to come back down and potentially win this game. An illegal substitution happens on the drive, so they get an extra 5 yards, even shortening the distance halfway through in that drive, and they still couldn't execute, a throw short of the first down marker winds that clock down. I understand it's the only maybe read there, but as we'll get into a little bit later, the decision making tonight wasn't exactly ideal. Actually, we can just go right into it. It's a combination of decision making and structure, or how clean they were playing. And I understand that it's week one coming to the game, but one of the specific moments for me is there's 2:40 left in the game, and Coach Kenny Masolo is forced to call his first timeout out of 3 because they're not structured going down the field. Obviously, there's a field goal that's missed that would have given them the lead, but they don't have to take one of their 3 timeouts that it could have saved for what we eventually know is something that's going to need to happen or play out. It was just unstructured, not what you like to see. You get a big catch from Leland Smith. Forget about that timeout. It doesn't matter anymore. You get the big catch from Leland Smith. You're within 5-10 yards of the goal line, and you throw I think it's like a minute 25 left. You throw for the first pass or for the first play after you're inside the 10-yard line. Why would you do that? You can run the clock, start forcing these Central Michigan timeouts, and they would run for the next 2. And something I personally am not a huge fan of was having a true freshman quarterback and what could potentially be your final play of the game. I don't know if Dennis Lynch is he wanted to be on the left side, and that's why Tama went out to the left side of the field. But it befuddled me that you take out your true or your captain, your senior quarterback, for a true freshman just to move the ball a little bit more, especially after throwing on first down. It was just a crazy sequence of events that, again, we're overreacting here, but how will you go forward managing games in the future if this is week one after having so many opportunities to take the lead tonight? We can start at the quarterback position. Walker, you could argue this game's won in a number of different ways, and probably the first way is on that first drive that San Jose State had the ball. He throws it directly into double coverage with just a bad decision. He'll tell you it's a bad decision. He said in the post-game presser that he needs to be better at not making those turnovers. It was a talking point this offseason. It was a talking point last season, and he brings it into this year. 3 turnovers in the first 4 possessions of the game. CMU forced 5 turnovers all of last season, and in the first 4 possessions tonight, 3 turnovers were made. We talked about it on this channel. The keys or the X factors of this game was going to be if Walker keeps Central Michigan in it, and the reality is that's exactly what happened in that first half. The only touchdown that Central Michigan had that entire game was off of it came. I mean, they still had to go down 80 yards. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, it comes directly off of that turnover that happened there, and they get the ball off of the fumble inside field goal range. They convert. I believe they convert with that. There was one missed field goal in there, but point being, there's so many turnovers that you handicap yourself to a certain point. It wasn't great. Obviously, Tama Amasone got some burn to rush in. Coach Ken says in the presser that there were some design packages. It was always going to be him coming in at certain points. And it was good that he got in. He obviously gave the momentum to start the second half, but ideally you won't Walker in the entire game because some things aren't going wrong. There's potential to see more, but you don't want to see more of Tama, respectfully to him, because you want this shred and spread offense flowing like we saw it last season, and it just did not look like that today. And I think that ultimately falls on the quarterback's shoulders, and Walker will tell you that as well. The decision making is probably what cost them, one of the many things that cost them this game. We go into the running back room. Lamar Radcliffe started the game. He didn't finish it. Floyd Chalk played, I think, almost exclusively, entirely the second half. If I had to give a theory as to why that is, I think it was that play where Walker uh, ends up fumbling into the defensive end's arms, and Lamar was supposed to be helping on that block, and he gets blown right by for that sack. He wasn't bad rushing the ball whatsoever, but I think just certain passing down situations, those are definitely be Floyd's in the future, and it looks like the coaching staff sees that too, and he will be playing on those third down roles. Not much to mention from the run game. It wasn't particularly productive, and that's another thing you can go back to at the beginning of the game. They get the ball to Danny Scudero inside the red zone, and they consistently try and run the ball. If that's not you, you don't have to make it you. If you're this high flowing offense who throws the ball a lot with, Malachi Riley was still healthy at this point. You have 3 legit weapons, and Danny Scudero, he gets held, so you get more plays within the red zone there. It was definitely befuddling to seeing the coaching decisions that were going on in this one. Receivers, by far the bright spot of the team. I don't think there was a single Central Michigan defender in the secondary that was holding on to Danny Scudero. And if they were holding on, it was because it was a penalty. They were holding on for dear life. I don't have the final stats up in front of me, but that kid is a Nick Nash replacement if I've ever seen one. Nick Nash obviously has a little bit more size to him. Danny Scudero has some serious speed. If you get the ball into his hands, he can turn on the jets and go flying. I think Leland Smith, he was the perfect Justin Lockhart replacement. We'll get into it a little bit later, but Malachi Riley goes down. But before he went down, he was moving all over the field. He was at that he was at the Z roll. He went into the slot a little bit. I like what I saw from him. I like Kyrie Scholes a lot in there too. He looks like he can be a pretty productive replacement in the event Malachi Riley is down for a prolonged period. Matthew Coleman looked like he hurt his shoulder a little bit after the lone catch he had today, but he was in there for a couple more drives after that, so it's good to see him get back into the flow of things after that injury. Receiver room is by far and away the best part of this team. They have the depth. They certainly have the depth. Stutzman said they have depth. They have depth this year. It'll be exciting to see them get the ball in their hands, but to transition there, you can only get the ball in their hands if Walker Egan is protected. And the left side of that line tonight was just getting destroyed by Michael Heldman. Pasetti Lapau, he was almost consistently needing help from a guard or a running back. And don't get me wrong, Michael Heldman is by far one of the best pass rushers that the team offers, the MAC offers. But, it was a very consistent beating off the edge. I think a lot of people also mentioned penalties. Nate Hale has a huge holding penalty that backs him up. But the largest penalty of the night for San Jose State was Siani Namoni. They're driving. They're looking really good. They're getting into field goal range, and Siani Namoni backs them up. He gets pulled out of the game. I forget who they put in at guard, but it's just an awful penalty, unnecessary roughness that you can't take there, and it forces them to punt. Just another situation there where we talked about being disciplined, and that's going to get you far this season. Well, that definitely was not one of those disciplined moments, and the team did not need that. Outside of receiver, the defense, by far, one of the most productive places that you could look at on this team. Central Michigan tonight, it doesn't feel like it, but they went 2 for 13 on third downs. So basically, if they were cooking on those first and second downs, but if you got on the third down, it was basically a stop. They obviously get the big fourth down conversion within their own 30-yard line that continues that 7-minute drive, 14 plays. But the defense, considering the positions they were put in tonight, only allowing 1 touchdown, bravo to them. Jordan Pollard, Mountain West all-conference team. He gets that big stop on the goal line, which it pumps some life back into the San Jose State offense that was depleted for points at that point. Outside of it was still depleted of points even after that. But point being, he really helped save that game. Noah McNeil-Franklin, he looked really good in there. I think Pollard finishes with 15 tackles. I really liked the interior. Had its woes for sure to start the game, but I really liked the transfer Veely. He got in there, making some big plays, tackles for loss. Nafa was in there, hogging up double teams, creating space for their linebackers to come in like Pollard. The secondary is still untested. We haven't seen a lot, to make comments on the entire emphasis of the Central Michigan game tonight was run the ball, and they absolutely did that with 3 different quarterbacks, all their running backs, and creative motions that in the first half, it really looked like that Chafin was out coaching Derek Odom, but obviously his unit locked in, and they made it look like a significantly better battle throughout the rest of the game. But I mean, man, it was difficult to watch at certain points because it just looked like it on the field that San Jose State was the more talented team. Again, the receivers just looked a lot better, uh, but they couldn't pull away. Injury wise, Malachi Riley, we don't know what his circumstances are. Hopefully, he can return soon. But if he can return soon, he looked like someone that can be unbelievably productive. They were moving him all across the formations. I love to see that. He looked like a speedy guy, but unfortunate for him to go down. We mentioned Matthew Coleman going down. He returns to this game. Looks like he'll probably be continuing to play throughout the next week at Texas and forward. But we did see him go down. The other big injury, Jalen Banner. He got up very wobbly after one of the plays, and he did not return to the game after that. It was a lot of Jalen Thomas and Caleb Presley for the rest of the night after that. You hate to see that for any of these players. He definitely, I would imagine, went into concussion protocol. You hate to see it, but those are the big three injuries, at least that happened tonight. But man, oh man, what a first game to start the year. I can't remember, outside of the bowl game last year, any game. No, I just really can't remember any game last season that you had this one and you just continue to drop the ball. We mentioned in the season preview, no, we didn't mention the season preview. We mentioned the bold prediction video. My number one bold prediction was that San Jose State starts the year 1-3, and the very first thing we said is we don't know how they're going to come out. We don't know if the coach has them prepped. And granted, I don't know how much more you could have done if you're Ken Niumatalolo in certain situations here. I mean, it's not his fault that the clock was winding down with 2:30 left to go. He had to make that call for the timeout. He put his team in positions to be successful today, in my personal opinion. Offensively, it was just a bit of a disappointment. And I think that goes down to execution. I can't completely locate certain parts of the game plan because it wasn't executed completely properly either. But yeah, they come out a little bit weak in that first quarter to start, and they can never really recover after allowing such ground and pound, over 100 rushing yards in that first quarter, and significant turnovers that just really gut punches. I think Niumatalolo said in the press conference, just that overhand right that really got them, that they can never really recover from. If I had to make a new prediction as to the standings this season, 6-6 might be the new floor. That's for sure. And you maybe obviously you don't want a repeat of last season, especially, I think I tweeted it, deja vu with Tama Amasoni. In an ideal world, this offense flows perfectly through Walker Egan and all these offensive weapons that we've seen tonight. But if they can't give him the protection to do so and his decision-making isn't consistent like we've seen in previous games, it's going to be a bit of a long season. I think this isn't overreaction at all. You moving forward, that left side of the line is going to need a lot of care there. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a long season. Pass blocking, at least if we're overreacting to tonight's game. The run game, it eventually got picked up with some Floyd Chalk runs in there. It was very nice to see him be patient, hit his holes. But yeah, it was 16-14. His final score, Central Michigan defeats San Jose State tonight. A real gut punch to the Spartans after a lot of momentum was built up. They were picked to finish third in the conference, and potentially, worst of all, Fresno State fans are they're on cloud nine right now. Boise State loses, San Jose State loses. It's a tough scene for sure for Spartan fans right now. Let me know what your thoughts of this game were down in the comments. What are your overreactions to this one? Not a great look to start the season for San Jose State. Please subscribe, comment. Thank you for watching.